Hello, welcome to Thursday night reading sprints. Totally confused myself because I went to the farm today. Normally I take my son to the farm on a Monday, so I was like, is it actually Thursday? Have I just totally lost the plot? Thank you for coming on at last minute, Sharon. It
That's
was
okay.
it was definitely last minute today, literally minutes ago, because I've been struggling at bedtimes this week, so I didn't want to sort anything and like jinx myself and have people sat waiting for me. So thank you, Sharon, for popping on as usual. I'm excited to hear what you're reading. Did you end up finishing the thing you were reading last week? What was it called? I wrote down the name of it. Slasher tag.
Slash tag.
Slash tag. Was that good? Did you finish it?
Yeah, it was really good. It got a bit weird in the end.
I think
Am I
I lost you
freezing?
slightly there. Yeah, a little bit. I think I heard you say that it went a bit weird in the end. I tend to find that books like that often do. Like, have you read episode 13, which is like found footage horror? It's an adult one. Oh, you have it. Have you read it?
It came yesterday.
Oh, so I will be super interested to hear, because without spoiling anything, that goes in some
Yesterday. Yeah.
It goes in some interesting directions. I can't wait for you to read it. I need to talk to somebody about it. I haven't actually spoken to somebody about it yet because I really enjoyed it, but there's a few things that I'd like to discuss in depth with someone. Yes, let's leave that there. So what are you planning to read tonight? I don't know whether we've got...
I am reading.
Oh, I haven't heard of that. The Exeter incident. As in Exeter in the UK?
Now, I work in Exeter and I live about 25 miles from Exeter, and this author lives in Exeter. He's a local indie author to me, and this is about it's a creature feature set in Exeter. And it's cool. Very, very funny. It's because I know all of the places. And I work for the local county council, and he even put in it, no county council employees were hurt in the making of this book.
Oh, good. So it's almost like it's dedicated to you, that book. I love that. That's so really cool, reading that. Yeah, I think it's rare, isn't it, to find a book that is set from in an area that you know so specifically well. That's cool.
Yeah. He's a nice bloke too.
Oh, good. That always helps. So I am working on Mina and the Cult. I finally finished the edit that I've been doing because I decided to edit it before writing the ending because I just couldn't write the ending attached to the book that I wanted it to be. So I edited it. So I'm now writing the last few chapters of it, and it's really hard because I'm having to make some like decisions for certain characters that, some things don't end well for some people. So it's like I'm about to write a scene that's going to be quite difficult, I think. So if you see me sobbing, it's because things are happening that, when you know something is necessary. Like sometimes you're reading a book and you feel angry and you're like, I don't want this to happen, but I'm having to write it. It's necessary. But
because it's the last in the trilogy, Amy, you could actually just kill them all.
I could. I've had you and Shelley are the same. You're both so ruthless. Shelley was like, maybe nobody's safe in this book because like you don't need them in the next one or anything. I was like, but they're my babies. I created them. They're my first babies. It's really weird. I know that I've got to be ruthless in some cases, and I have been. I've done bad things to them that I sometimes have. For the benefit of there being a plot and not just them wandering happily around New Orleans, I have had to be mean. But yes, so let's see what the people in the comments are doing, and then maybe we'll go to a sprint. Oh, I saw on your YouTube, Stephen, that you've got In Nightfall. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, Stephen.
Excellent. I've been enjoying that series. I still need to read the third one. I haven't heard of Home by Whitney Hanson. Have you?
No.
I don't know what genre that is. I feel like it might be horror for some reason, but Home could also be like home. It could be something horrible's happening at home, but it could also be just nice and cozy, couldn't it?
Our minds go automatically to horror, don't they? What's happening in the home?
Yeah, I know. Put that terrible home. Hi, Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Hi, Amal.
Hi, Amal.
The Rebound Chapter 2. Interesting. Hi,
Ellie.
Yeah. That sounds like a productive plan. I somehow have read, I think I've read 8 or 9 books this month. Sharon, you'd be proud of me. That's like the most I've read all year per month. I don't know what happened this month. I have read some short books, admittedly, but I've read things like Patricia Wants to Cuddle that I absolutely loved, and I just
Did you like it?
I thought it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. And I liked often books like that, the resolution, I'm really hard to please. And I thought the resolution was excellent. Like it really, I just went, oh, yes, that's exactly how that book needed to end.
I wanted more. I wanted more Patricia.
Yeah.
Not to give it, I don't want to spoil it, but I wanted more of that.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because I think in horror films, when you see the monster, it instantly kills the vibe for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I love not seeing it. Like, I love the Jeepers Creepers films, but I can't help but feel annoyed every time I see the monster. I'm like, oh, I'm not that scared of it. I'd be happier if it was slithering around in the shadows and you can't see what it's doing. So in a way, I quite liked it that Patricia was mysterious. But yeah,
I liked the build-up. I thought the build-up to it was excellent. I thought all of the contestants were annoying. I loved that.
Yeah, no.
None of them were. All of them were horrible. And but after the reveal, I would have liked more history. Really.
Yeah.
But that's just me being greedy. I absolutely loved the book. It was a 5-star read for me. I loved it. It just made me smile.
Yeah, it did me. I would have liked it to be a bit longer, I think. Like,
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
the only thing. Like, there was room for, I think, development of some of the stuff, but
for a debut, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, really good. And I want more of that kind of weird, accessible adult horror. Like, there wasn't any point where I thought, oh, this is too much for me. Like, it was just the right.
No,
it's just what I want from horror.
It was just on. It was just the right creepiness, and with just enough horror in it. I thought.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that fun adult horror, there needs more of that.
Cozy horror is a rare thing.
Maybe I'll write some. That's what I need to do.
Yes, there you go. See,
are you reading yoga? I'm so impressed, Amal, how you're always reading across like different platforms. Okay, Washed Up. I've not heard of that, but thank you for the trigger warnings. Hi, Katie. Hope you're okay. Oops, sorry, the comments are jumping around everywhere. Sorry if I'm missing anyone. I remember you mentioned.
You're still on that.
It took me a long time to read that book. I really enjoyed it. I think, is that the first one in the series? I'm not sure. I feel like it probably is if you're doing it for your book club. Yeah, I think I read the first 2 in that series and really enjoyed them, but I kind of lost the thread because it's fantasy, so it didn't quite keep me going.
Yes, I'm going to read the other 2 in the beginning of next year. I've already got them on my TBR, ready for the third one.
I appreciate that. Katie was like the cutest Mina. She came to one of my events dressed up as like with the checked shirt and stuff. She just looked amazing. It's the first time I've ever seen anybody do that. It was very lovely. So this is where I am.
Paula.
I'm really glad that there are some people on my side. I keep getting messages from people who are big fans of Jared and Mina, like, I know you're writing the third one. Can you just make them happy at the end, please? I'm like, I'm not promising anything, but if you know me,
understand horror.
Yeah, no. Well, people who know me though know I'm soft, so I will.
That's a cozy read as well. Yeah. Saturday Night Ghost Club.
I need to get that. I keep seeing it. Is it set in the 80s? That one? The 90s?
Yeah, I think so. Or was that the? Yeah, I think so. It reminds me of like the Midnight one as well. The Midnight something or other that they made a series of. Very cozy kind of horror.
The Midnight. I don't know whether that's Club. I always get mixed
up. Midnight
up.
Club. Yeah.
Yeah. Cynthia wrote The Midnight Game, which is also excellent. I don't know that you've read that, Sharon.
I have it on. I have it to read.
It's really good.
I have a lot to read.
I think you'll like it. You read fast, Sharon. It's fine. You can have a big TBR. I can't justify the size of my TBR because I don't read fast. I buy like more books a month than I can read. It scares me a little. Hi, Serena.
Do you know, I went into Waterstones on Monday. I went and did a little bit of a shop, including this gorgeous thing. Oh,
that is cute.
And I went into Waterstones, first time ever I've been into a bookshop and I didn't buy a book because everything I liked I already had, and they had nothing else I wanted. It sent me into a trauma. I've been traumatized.
Sometimes I do go in just to sign books because if I'm hitting like 4 Waterstones a day, I have to stop myself because otherwise I buy a book for me and a book for Nathan or a toy for Nathan in each one, and then I get to the end of the day and go, hang on, I've signed 20 books, but I've bought 5. Like, I feel like the money imbalance might be a bit off there.
Perhaps I need to find a kid. Perhaps I need to borrow my great niece and nephew, and then I can buy books for them.
Yeah,
I do buy books for my nephews and nieces, but That's what I need, isn't it? Because then I'd get that thrill, but it wouldn't be for me.
He does love going into Waterstones. They've got a sticker section, a sticker book section, cuddly toy section, and like random tat that children love section. Somebody has just absolutely nailed what children like in Waterstones. There's even a vehicle section in some of them. I mean, I cannot get out of there without spending money. And it keeps him going, to be fair. Let him pick something each time I sign a book. I really want to know what you think of that, because that is on my list as well. Might try and pick that up the spooky season, actually. Okay. That is a lot. I feel like doing lots of books is difficult if you're doing different people's readathons and stuff. But it sounds like you're under control. Hi, Han.
I am. I'm reading about 5 or 6 at the same time, but I do. I like to flit.
What did I ask you what you're reading tonight? I think I got distracted by your /tag book. Which one? Oh, yeah, you did. You're reading the Exeter one, aren't you? Yeah, we went on such a book tangent. I was like, did we talk about the actual current one?
I haven't started it yet, but I've already read 2 today. That's my 3rd book.
That's impressive. I
haven't had nothing else to do. I'm on holiday.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever done that before, but on holiday, yes. Holiday pre-Nathan, I have read multiple books today. Now I read like less than a book a whole holiday, generally. A poetry collection.
Oh, poetry. I love poetry.
Okay. I need to read more of it. I buy quite a lot, and I do enjoy it when I read it. Yes. Yeah, it really
I agree.
Really, highly recommended to anybody who likes light, cozy, sort of horror with a bit of gore. People keep telling me to read. Is it Myra Grant? I've still not read any Sean Maguire. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. I'm sorry, everybody. I have got a Sean Maguire one, but I haven't read it yet. Oh yeah, I don't know. They do feel quite meaty, even though 499 isn't that long for fantasy. It does feel like quite a meaty book when you're reading it. Excellent. Do you enjoy? It is 80s. Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I think it's too sad for me. Like, isn't the premise of that they're teenagers who are really ill, and they're all
terminally ill.
All terminally ill.
And but it's actually, and that is quite a sad premise. But actually, I think it's a really hopeful book. It's not as creepy, the book. I think the TV series, actually, I watched that too. It goes more creepy, but this is so hopeful. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
To know that's on my no-go list, like ill kids. I'm a bit like.
Thank you, Stephen.
No, stop voting for that, everybody, please. I hope we're all joking. Oh yeah, I really need to read them. I do. Excellent. Fun and spooky is exactly what I want.
I know, it feels like the books have rejected you, Paula. I agree with you completely. I felt like I'd been rejected by books for the first time in my life.
Oh, it's rare, not a good feeling. But no. Oh, that is cute. Yeah.
It's so cute, isn't it? I got it from HomeSense. It's beautiful.
I haven't managed to get to a HomeSense. I've been to TK Maxx a lot. That's amazing, Paula.
This is my 20th of the month.
Ooh.
But you've got to remember, I don't have any life, so just bear that in mind. I'm disabled. I work from home, and I don't go anywhere.
If that is your thing and you enjoy that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just impressed in a month I read more than 8 books. I'm like, I've broken literally every month this year. I've read 8 books and tried to read more and not managed. And this month I've actually done it.
As long as you enjoy what you read, don't matter if you read 1 or 50.
Exactly. Yep. Agreed. Yeah, this happens to me as well. I do different book clubs, and sometimes I'm just in the mood for different books, and a book arrives and I get excited and ditch everything else. Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes have to kill some good ones as well, because then it hurts and it motivates the characters to do things. Although I have occasionally killed a character and regretted it slightly, realizing there's going to be more books. In the 3rd book, it's not as bad, is it? But in the 1st book, if you kill someone and regret it, you've got a problem when you've got 2 more books without them.
I reread No One's Supposed to Die Tonight, ready for the discussion, because I read it about 6 weeks ago. So I thought I'll reread it now. So I reread that this afternoon, but it's a really quick read, isn't it? So just because I couldn't remember the name of all the characters, I thought I might need to.
Oh, I'm so bad at that. I
remembered the story I know, but it was the extra characters, I thought I need to know what they...
I'm doing Shelley's Point Horror Book Club, and I've just finished the book for that, and it's this weekend, the chat, but can I remember any of the character names? Nope. Jenny? Julian?
I've still got that to read. I've only started. I read the first one, because I hadn't read the first one. The Hunter. Was it the Hunter, the first one?
Yeah,
No.
is it the
Something, the
hunt?
first one.
Is
The
it
chase. No.
it's the chase, the hunt, and the kill, but I can't remember the order of them. Oh, Kev's just thrown
So
biscuits at me. I need to go to a sprint and eat some
I read
biscuits.
The Hunter, and because I hadn't read that one from last year, so I
Yeah.
read that one, and I'm about 50 pages into the chase because I've got like a bind up.
Yeah, I have that one. I've got a couple of bind ups, and I've got the original, like the gorgeous one with the eyes on the cover as well, the 90s.
So I shall be on that chat on Sunday, so I need to get on with that one as well.
I'm glad you said Sunday. I'd forgotten what that was.
Maybe I need to read that tonight.
Yeah, I could read that. It's a quick read, definitely. That's impressive.
It's very good.
Oh.
I've got 3 cats, actually. I've got 2 black ones, and 1 ginger one, and they've all got, my husband named them all, and they've all got sci-fi names.
Oh. Yeah, I totally get that. And 2 5-star reads is the important part of it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if I absolutely love them or absolutely hate them, I can remember them. But yeah, anything meh and in between, I can't remember them. Let's jump onto a sprint. So anybody who's not been here before, we do 40 minutes chat, 40 minutes chat, and then 30 minutes because we're all sleepy by the end. So I'll put the first sprint on and we will catch up on the other side. So let us know in the comments what you're getting up to. Bye. Hello, everyone. Hey, you had a good sprint. How did it go, Sharon?
It was fine. I had to stop halfway through to get me dinner. But yeah,
Is it?
we had Domino's tonight, so we
Yum.
have it once a month. But yeah, it was nice. I only had a couple of pieces, but yeah. So I turned the camera off because nobody wants to watch me eating.
I always eat on sprints, and I do wonder sometimes it's messy. And like these biscuits, I ate them and I got to the point where I was like, they're all stuck in my teeth. I'm going to have to turn the camera off and just sort myself out. Yeah, because I always eat when I'm writing. I feel like I'd have the camera off all the time. But I do just tend to eat biscuits and stuff, so it's not quite pizza where you're.
No, it's just like I just thought no.
I
It was
think
very nice.
I was meeting up with Mia yesterday, my friend who lives in Nottingham, and she took me to this Vietnamese restaurant, and we had these, I think they're called banh mi, these massive sandwiches that were just absolutely piled with meat and coleslaw and stuff. And she was just laughing at me as I was eating mine because it was like falling apart in my hands. And I did think to myself, if I was on camera eating this, like there would be no going back. Like my career would be in tatters. I'd got it like all over my face, all down my arms.
It's like American sandwiches, isn't it? I know you've been to America. I lived in the States for several
Yeah.
years, and their sandwiches, they're too big to get in your mouth. You have to actually take them apart to eat them, or it's impossible.
Kev ordered
You'd have to be a
one.
snake.
Yeah,
and
you would.
dislocate your jaw.
Where's the Vortex Bar and Grill? Is that Atlanta? Yeah, in Atlanta, there's a place called the Vortex Bar and Grill, and Kev ordered a thing called a triple coronary bypass. Not the greatest name. And it was 3 grilled cheese sandwiches with burgers in between.
Oh my God.
And it was just like the size of his head. It was absolutely insane. And it came with this huge pile of like tater tots and stuff. Like the food over there.
Their portions are incredible, aren't they? I mean, really, you could order one thing and it's enough for a family.
Yeah, it is. We learned that very quickly when we ordered 3 courses on the first night and then went, oh yeah, that was a misstep. So you had a good. You did a bit of reading between?
I did. I decided to read the chase.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
The chase in the end. Yeah. I enjoy it. It's really easy to read, isn't it? So you know what I mean. So
LJ Smith's writing is interesting to me that it feels like some of the descriptions you go, oh yeah, that's 90s. Like I think the way she describes Dee is a little bit eye rolling. It's like she seems to fetishize her a little bit with her being like a Nigerian princess or whatever she called her in this book. It's like, oh, LJ Smith, like. But apart from that, like the occasional thing that you can just tell isn't a modern way of describing people. I think it could be a modern book. Like I think the writing.
I think so, and I also think it could also. It's very different to other point horrors. I think. I mean, I'm quite new to point horrors, because I was too old the first time around. But it seems very different. It's a different feel to it, and mine says it. Mine says it's not point horror.
I do think they were branded as point in some places because point was a bit more of a like vague. They had like point crime, point romance, point horror, and then they had this point that was a bit more like the stuff that didn't fit anywhere else. And I do remember thinking that they were always just really out there and different from the other books. They were one of my favourites back in the 90s.
There's horror elements to it, obviously. I mean, but it's also kind of a mystery and an adventure and a little bit supernatural, and it's kind of a mix of stuff as opposed to just being pure horror. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I really enjoyed I loved the first one. I thought that was, brilliant.
The second one feels a bit like a middle book in a trilogy.
It does feel like it's a filler at the moment.
A little bit, yeah. It does pick up as you go through it. But yeah, when Shelley was reading the first one, it was hilarious because she didn't read it in the 90s, and her reactions were just like, "It's sci-fi now. Like, why are there aliens?"
It does. It switches, and it is weird. It's a little bit cosmic, bit supernatural, bit horror, bit kind of gross body horror. It's kind of a bit of everything. It doesn't fit into point horror. I understand, really.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
The third book, there's a scene that gave me nightmares as a child, and I can't wait to read it as an adult because I don't think I've read it since my early teens. The third book, I've reread book 1 and 2, but when you don't quite make it to the third one in the trilogy, and I won't spoil it for you. But it's quite visual body horror, and I can still remember it so vividly. I was shocked when I read it as a child, like absolutely emblazoned onto my memory. So I'm excited for you to get to that moment. I'm sure you'll know what it is.
Body horror is one of my favourite shock horror tactics.
Honestly,
and very little of it shocks me anymore. But I do. enjoyed seeing how far they can push it. Do you know, where it just tips into disgust?
I enjoyed that in the Lurking in the Dark anthology because it was my first adult short story. I liked the fact that I could go like entrails and stuff. I was like, in YA, I normally draw shorter entrails. Like it's just, and especially in a vampire book, it's just blood generally. So yeah, it was quite fun to just go, I don't actually have to stop. I can just like let this go as long as I want. And it was
I like the
so.
anthropomorphic kind of things, you know, when something infests a human body and turns it into part human, part something else in a very grotesque way. Much because I loved werewolves, were my favourite things when I was younger, and that's kind of the epitome of it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really love that kind of grotesqueness of contorting the human form into something it's not meant to be.
Have you watched Idle Hands starring Devon Sawyer? I think it was like early 2000s or late 90s.
I don't think so.
It's a horror film. His hand gets possessed by a demon or something. I don't remember what it is. And he ends up doing a bizarre thing and chopping his hand off to try and like get rid of this thing.
But you would.
Yeah, and the hand just goes and like starts doing really bad stuff, and it's hilarious and terrible and like and it does really gruesome things. Like the hand just like the way it goes off and starts killing people. It's just, I think you'd enjoy it.
I think I would.
Like just there's some really gross scenes where like it just starts killing people indiscriminately. And every time, because it's so creepy, because you just thinking around like a really evil version of thing from Addams Family. It's really good.
Did you watch the new Halloween one yet?
No, I have not, because I don't know, like I didn't love the previous one, or even the previous two. Maybe it felt a little bit. Was it the previous one that was just like it happened straight after the previous film, and it almost felt like they could have been one film? Like the only purpose I think the prior film served was that a really important character died that needed to motivate somebody else, without me spoiling too much, I hope. And I felt that could have been fit into the film before. Like it seemed pointless to me, so I haven't bothered with the new one yet. What did you think of it?
There's some parts of it I really liked. I really liked the parts with Michael in it. But I found the rest of the movie was kind of like a cheesy B movie. That's what I felt.
Yeah,
it was kind of a bit. Yeah, it was. I mean, I love to see Jamie Lee Curtis. You know, she's always box office, isn't she? But it felt a little bit cheesy, but it is incredibly gory.
See, I'm almost willing to watch it just for that, to see how gory it goes, but I don't know. I think I will, but I'm resisting a little bit. Have you seen
It's
Freaky
the most
Friday?
gory one of all of the franchise.
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't think I've even seen them all. Did you watch Halloween H2O? That was the one I was obsessed with as a teenager, because it came out when I was obsessed with Josh Hartnett. So
that's the one in the school, right? When she's a teacher.
Yeah.
I actually think the original Halloween, obviously, is the best of all of them. But that would be my second favourite. I really thought that was a great story.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And I love the characters. I love the kids in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a new angle, wasn't it? I think the focus on them and the school felt really good.
And I loved the was it the security guard was it LL Cool J, wasn't it? Remember. In the security guard, the black security guard.
I might have to watch that this Halloween, you know. I don't
and I think it was LL Cool J who played the part, you know, the rapper.
Yeah.
And he was hysterical. It was proper dark humour. It was funny. Always on the phone to his girlfriend who was nagging him, and it was really good. I love that. I love the characters in that. I thought it was really well done.
Excellent. Yeah, you've just added that to my list. I'm going to try and watch Trick or Treat again this Halloween, but I think I might watch that.
I love that film. Yeah,
it's so good, isn't it? It's like, is it terrible? Is it genius? Like it treads the line of being completely wild and wacky and like too much. Like I loved the bit with the next door neighbor and he takes his dog out for whatever. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
I love those kind of films where you watch them and you're not sure if it's good or not.
Yeah, and how cute is Sam? And he's completely evil. I've got a little bubble of him and he sits on my shelf and my son looks at him all the time like, oh, Mommy, he's so cute. And I'm like, he's really not.
No, he's not.
He's terrible. I'll show you in 15 or so years, kid, why, you don't need to know what he's from yet. Okay. Whoa, that's a lot of books to read by the end of October.
I
Impressive.
love this. That's the only audiobooks I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'm cancelling my audiobooks. I don't use it.
Yeah.
I keep falling asleep. I can't do it.
Oh no, I
And
do use mine quite a bit.
but they're just not for me, which is fine. Not everything is. But I really enjoyed the audible books of the Harry Potter series. Stephen Fry does them so well. And I think that the narrator makes or breaks an audible.
It
And
does.
perhaps I've just been very unlucky with the ones I've listened to. I've just been like, no.
You ought to listen to a sample of episode 13, just see what you think of that, because that is a full cast and it's a really good cast. And I think that if you get that, and the one of Dracula,
I might use it.
just try it, because I didn't read the physical book. I listened to the audiobook of that and I really enjoyed it. At first, I didn't know whether you meant you read a book called Next to None or whether you
just read Next to None.
Yeah, no. Either way, no judgment on this end. We no reading, no writing. Use the sprints to just have some company. It's all good here.
My husband agrees with you, Paula. I have the very thin crust because I can't do gluten, too much gluten. And I had the veggie supreme, which is nice. And there's most of it's left. I've had 2 slices, and the rest of it will be for my husband tomorrow. Husband's had a
barbecue
meat
chicken.
feast.
Barbecue chicken's my choice. Yeah, my husband just asks for all of the meat. He chooses like a base flavour and then adds every extra meat topping to it.
That's my husband too. Yeah.
That's what kept us to every meal. Like, how much meat can I add here?
And Carl loves that, and the cheese crust, the filled cheese crust.
Yeah, we do all that. Oh, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you.
My mum's name, Rosie.
Oh, I like the name Rosie. My friend, because I'm friends with Rosie Talbot, who wrote 16 Souls, and she's in the anthology, and she's the most delightful, sweet person. So whenever I see a Rosie, I'm like, oh, Rosie, my Rosie.
She's a time traveller, isn't she, Amy? You can tell me.
Honestly.
She's from the 18th century, isn't she, really?
She's
just visiting us.
She is just like, how you see her, it's not a character that she's playing on TikTok. Like, that is just her personality. I met her at Yalk in 2018 when we were both trying to get an agent, and she had a ring of flowers on her hair and one of the skirts, and she was just like wafting through Yalk like this. And of course I had to talk to her because I was like, who is this person? And we ended up sitting at the agent pitch together and chatting for like an hour, because you get a 1-minute pitch and you have to sit and wait the whole time. Cemented the friendship, and then we've kind of stayed in touch. So yeah, when I see roses and rosies, I'm like, oh, Rosie.
She just makes me smile every time she comes up on my For You page on my Instagram. She just makes me smile. Do you know what I mean? She's just a joy, really.
She is, and she like genuinely is as well. Like, it's not, she doesn't turn off the camera and like the skirt comes off and she's swearing and stomping around. Like, she just is as lovely as she appears. Me too, it appears. I don't think I've had it very often, but I was very, very impressed with the food yesterday, and the cakes looked amazing. I didn't end up having a cake. Mia had cake, and it looked gorgeous. Yes, we had a fair few big sandwiches in New York, and I had a good one in New Orleans. It's called a po' boy that was like full of gravy as well as the meat, and America do.
I love a po' boy.
Yeah, so good. Excellent. Ellie, I love how you always do really productive things as well as the reading. That is good use of time. Nice.
Excellent.
It's honestly, it's so good. The offspring like actually appear and they kind of feature in the storyline a little. Something happens to them as well. It's really good. Definitely recommend it as a horror watch for this Halloween, everyone. I don't really have an opinion. Sharon, do you have any thoughts?
The one thing I've never done, because I'm obviously, in my 50s, and very few people my age don't have a tattoo. It's the one thing I never did because I could never make a decision, which is good because, I probably would be covered in them.
That's why I don't have any, because things I love intensely, like say Twilight, I like it now, but I'm not as obsessed as I was in my early 20s. So I feel like I don't think I've ever liked anything for long enough, except maybe Buffy. But even then I was like, what would I tattoo myself? Something to do with Buffy, Han. That's my
decision. So that was spent most of the 80s and 90s drunk. So I would have been covered in them if I could have made a decision. But to me, it would be something like a skull, probably some kind of skull with vines and roses going through it.
I do like skulls.
I think skulls are cool.
Do you know what? I didn't really watch Penny Dreadful. I maybe need to give it another try. It's one of those where I watched it and I wasn't in the right mindset. And I just didn't. But I was obsessed with The Faculty. I've watched that like 1,000 times.
I love that film. It's so underrated, that film. It's a
Literally
proper creepy, scary film.
scary. The dialogue is genius. The aliens are terrifying. Like the idea of these tiny little parasite things, and they infest the adults, and the children are just like, oh, the children are just trying to figure out what's going on. It's so good.
It's just brilliant. I love the girl who's in that, the one who plays the main female character, not the alien one, but the main.
Jordana, is she Jordana Brewster, is it, or something like that?
I can't remember what
the
her
girl with
name
the
is.
really dark hair who says that she takes 90 minutes to apply a lipstick or something. Oh.
No, it's the other one I'm thinking of, the one who's a bit weird.
Clea Duvall.
I love
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
I love her. I think she's brilliant. And the bloke in it from The Hobbit, isn't he? It was one of his first pictures, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Elijah Wood. And
I can never remember people's names. I'm terrible. It's my age.
Yeah, well, I'm quite good with actors' names usually because I used to retell films, so I've got. I don't tend to buy them now because they're so expensive. But I've got this sort of still encyclopedic list of who actors are because I just used to read that once a month.
But Penny Dreadful, the same. I watched about 3 episodes and I thought, oh, it's a bit jumpy.
Yeah,
and I got a bit bored of it.
Yeah, I didn't quite get what it was about. Yeah, I've got Spellslinger on my pile, but I haven't read it yet. Oh, I'm wanting a pizza now, everybody. That sounds really good as well.
I'm sorry. Apologise.
Oh.
Yeah, I am too, Paula, and I have to be careful. Yes, I have to be careful, but it doesn't stop me from eating it.
Ooh, vegan option sounds interesting.
The vegan Domino's pizza with a gluten-free base is absolutely beautiful.
That's good to know because I'm not great with gluten or dairy either. Like, I'm okay if I don't have too much of either.
I'm not allergic, but I'm intolerant to it. It makes me ill.
Yes,
exactly.
Agreed.
My lovely orange friend. I haven't seen her for a while.
Yeah, no. I need to
drop
chat
her a
with her,
message.
actually.
Or Tim Burton's a good call. I always thought that I saw somebody once with that, in Nightmare Before Christmas, which we both love, when Jack and Sally are on the edge of the cliff with the moon. Somebody had a full colour one of that. Absolutely beautiful, but that's nice to got in a tea bag.
Yeah, that's cool. I always appreciate them, and like I think particularly there's a guy I used to work with who designed all of his own because he was an illustrator at the company, and it was just like artwork all over. Like, he's got them like on his hands and on his neck and stuff. Like,
they are works of art. They really are. But Elijah Wood. It was in Back to the Future too, was he? Oh, blimey! Didn't really.
I remember him from. Was he in Flipper or something like that? He was in something really random as a child that I watched quite a few times. Cannot remember. Yeah, I know. Same. I'm sorry, Lovey.
I'm sorry.
I've been eating chocolate. You know you're eating too much. You feel a bit sick. But I'm eating these Tony's marshmallow.
I love chocolonis. Tony. They're lovelies.
They're so nice. I've just discovered the little chocolate ball version, and yeah, they're really good. Let's see what the last comment is, and then I think we'll go to Flipper.
Never seen that. I don't watch things with animals in.
This is where the movie knowledge. Like, I sometimes wish I could remember more useful things than the fact that Elijah Wood was in Flipper. Like, ask me where my glasses are, no idea, but I can tell you who starred in Flipper in like 1993 or whatever. Oh, yes. All the food talk is not upsetting for Rose.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I do, Sabrina, I've tested it to the limits. Like, I ate several packets of biscuits and then some chocolate, and I pushed it too far. Yeah, I think the sprints are made better by snacks. I don't normally snack this late unless I'm sprinting, and then I feel like I absolutely have to eat.
It is very late for me to be eating, but my husband didn't get home till 8. So
yeah, I get that. I eat at like 4:30 because my son, that's the time he eats, and then I'm ravenous by about 8 o'clock. Yeah, I'm writing this scene that's going to be really difficult, and I'm just getting towards, like, I forget how long actual writing takes because I've been editing for a few weeks. So why is it? I've literally just spent half an hour writing, like, getting to somewhere basically, which will take people 30 seconds to read. But I had to look up some stuff to do in New Orleans because I was like, what house in the Garden District look like again, and like how long would it take? So I ended up Googling a few things. So I'm getting towards writing hopefully a really emotionally impactful scene in which not everybody will make it out alive. I'm going to slice my cast by a couple of members. In this
Do you ever
season.
do you feel sad that you're getting towards the end of it, or is it a relief?
A bit of both. I always said I wouldn't write anymore, and I don't know whether I still hold to that one. So I think it's going to be
Might
the
be
last
more than a trilogy then. Ooh.
yeah, I haven't 100%. I haven't sold any more books. I will say that clearly, but I haven't 100% closed the door. But yeah, this is the end of the trilogy anyway. I'm ending what I always saw as this arc, but I won't definitely say that there won't be more. And that's one of the first times I've actually admitted it to myself. I think past few weeks I've started thinking of ideas and thought, oh no, they don't fit in this book. I've never had any more ideas. It always ended in my head, like where this book ends is where it always ended. And I've just
That's the
started.
problem with the writer's brain, you see, isn't it? Because you're
Yeah,
always thinking you're in the middle of writing something. I've got quite a lot of friends who are writers. In the middle of writing something else, they come up with another idea that doesn't fit. So then they jot it down somewhere that becomes another book or another short
super
story.
inconvenient. Honestly,
It's
I'm not a big
constant.
ideas person. Like Mia Kuzhny, who I put the anthology together with, she's constantly thinking of ideas that could be books, and I don't get loads, but when I do, like I tend to know, okay, that's a good one, and I am going to stick with it, and that will be a book. Whereas she would get like that many a day that I get in a year. But because I'm not supposed to work on anything else, I keep getting new ideas, which is really rude. I wish they'd just stop it because
I think that's how your brain works. If you've got to concentrate on something, it is trying to distract you. So then
yeah.
your brain's thinking about other stuff, isn't it? That's when all the ideas are going to come, when you're trying to concentrate on the one you've got to do.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why I'm quite a sort of high anxiety, high energy person as well, because my brain is just constantly cycling, like it doesn't ever stop. So if it cycles around the wrong thing, that's where the anxiety comes in, because it like gets stuck on a little loop. Which is why reading and writing are helpful, because it gives me something to channel that frantic
Oh,
energy.
the best writers are readers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
yeah.
Oh,
Falafel. That sounds nice too.
so we can't tempt people who've just eaten. Okay, let's mark where we're up to in the comments. It's a chatty bunch tonight. I like that. It gives us something to talk about. Let's do another 40 minutes and then we will catch up on the other side. So I was a bit slow off the mark that time. I was just frantically writing what I needed to remember for next time and just lost track of the kitty. How did you get on, Karen? Were you reading more in game?
Yeah, I've nearly finished. I only got about 20 pages to go. So yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Do you think it's picked up a little bit as it's gone on, but it's maybe not to me? I mean, you'll hear my full thoughts when I do the chat, but it doesn't quite grip me as much as the first one, I don't think.
It's not as exciting as the first one, I don't think. But like you said, I think it's the middle part of a trilogy. So it's kind of setting it up really for the third part, I think. But yeah, the dynamics between them is interesting, I think.
I've changed my opinion a little bit about some of the characters as well. Like some of them that I really loathed in the first book, I feel a bit more sympathetic towards.
Yes, I think it gives you a more rounded view of the main, like the main six, certainly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite like that. I like the way that Jenny, the main character, is changing as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it feels quite modern in that, like being drawn towards this morally grey character. I think that's really popular in like modern romantasy, isn't it? I think Julia
was probably quite new when this came out, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah,
being attracted to the morally grey, almost evil character and being unable to resist them, that kind of irresistible, kind of almost vampirish nature of Julian.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, L.J. Smith wrote the Vampire Diaries like early 90s, before a lot of these people like, say, Charlene Harris and Stephanie Meyer that you think is kind of reinvigorating this romanticized vampire, which of course Anne Rice was doing in the 70s. They don't realize that L.J. Smith kind of did it before, the Vampire Diaries, because of the TV show. I think people think that, oh, you know, that was copying Twilight, but I think Twilight might have a lot to owe to the Vampire Diaries, not the other way around.
I think Twilight's got a lot to answer for generally, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the books or the films.
I did. You know, I got really obsessed with the first book on holiday. I bought it in America, so it just come out. I think the third book had just come out there. So it wasn't out in the UK yet. I'm not even sure if the first book was out. And I read the books back to back over like 3 days. So I was a bit obsessed. But yeah, I think I tried rereading them, and I thought I might reread the whole series. And I only reread the first book. I was like, I enjoyed it, but not enough, I don't think, to probably go.
It was when he started sparkling. I got to that point and I was like, no.
He's very oppressive and very, like, he doesn't really let Bella have much breathing room, does he? And I found
he's basically a stalker, isn't he? I mean, he's really quite toxic, really.
On the reread, I don't think I noticed that the first time. I think I was swept up by it, but I was 23 or 24 when I read it, and reading it again in my sort of late-ish 30s, I felt a bit different about it.
I was probably in my latest 30s when it first came out.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, it's just, no, it was when he started sparkling. I was just like, no, vampires don't sparkle.
It's interesting. I think people try to do their own things with vampire mythology, but I think that one might have been just a little step too far.
But, you know, people love it, and that's fine. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
I think it depends when you read it. I think if you read it when you were younger, it's probably quite a comfort read. Like it is like things for me, which I read when I was younger, people wouldn't like.
And it depends what you want from your vampires as well, doesn't it? If you want sort of sparkly vegetarian ones, then that's it, isn't it? But
now I want ones that would rip you apart.
Yeah. It's more realistic, I think, of a human, like humans being around somebody with a bloodlust, just to me is never going to end well. That's why I always think with vampires, like, I think one of the Cullens is more bloodlusty, and I found that more believable than the ones that were like, oh no, we don't do that. Sorry if we've already missed you, Ellie. But yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up with each other again.
Shira, come down.
Hi, we are going to do one more sprint. So anybody who's just popping in now, we've got another half an hour sprint to go. 87% in, you might get that done in the next sprint. Oh no. So yeah, the last one, I'm not sure when you put this comment up, but yeah, the last one is coming up shortly. Oh, Paula's in there for me. Thank you, Paula, sorting me out. Everybody's saying hi. Oh, I mean, that's a good sign that the book was too good for snacks. Oh, I hope that was nice, Paula.
Oh, I miss my mama.
Yeah, a little bit with I felt that really strongly when I was writing the Mina books. I think the second book was harder to write than the third one. I think it's that bridging thing, isn't it? That you haven't written the third one yet, so you've got this vague sense of where the series is going, but you aren't there yet, and you can't do too much with the second book because you know that the third one has got to tie it all up. So yeah, a little bit. I still enjoyed it, the second Forbidden Game book, but yeah, not my favourite one. Excellent. Yeah, I loved the series. Don't know whether I read the books back in the day. I can't really remember. And I tried rereading them. I didn't hugely get into them. I'm going to try again because I think I probably would enjoy them now with a bit of distance from the series. Yeah, I loved the first film. And it kind of came, the obsession with the books. The film came out fairly soon when I was still in that. But yeah, the others I wasn't as keen. The werewolves I thought were a bit disappointing. They were very CGI werewolf. I
Yes,
prefer
I thought so.
a scary animatronic werewolf to the shit's all damn, doesn't it? Animatronics, but give me an actual furry werewolf. Like in Buffy, I thought they did them really well. Like it's making people furry. That's what I'd prefer.
They should be scary.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can never
like
diss it too much. It got loads of people reading, and loads of people do love it, and I was one of them. I now just like it. And it got.
I was just too old, I think. I was too old, and I don't like romance. So the whole romance angle for me would have been a turn off straight away. Yeah, I was too old for it. That I think probably. But yeah, anything that gets people reading is great.
I do like romance, and I think that when I read Twilight, we just got engaged, me and Kev, and we were looking at Florida as our wedding location. So I literally read them when we were like scouting our wedding venue. So I think I was probably feeling quite romantic as well. So it, like this idea of eternal love and stuff, was kind of in the forefront of my mind when I was
terrifying.
reading.
Imagine being lumbered with somebody forever. That's a
No,
terrifying thought.
that's one of the things I quite like about vampires. I think like it kind of gets you around that whole human mortality angle, doesn't it? Quite nicely.
No.
Right, so we're all yawning. We've got half an hour sprint left. If you need to dip out, Sharon, please feel free.
I'm fine. I'm on holiday.
Yeah, it's true. I sort of am. I'm now working term time, so I'm not working tomorrow, but I am looking after a 3-year-old, which feels as intense as work, more fun than work by a mile. But
it's harder work than work, that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. I'd rather be doing it, but it is more tiring than work. Let's have a look. So we're going to change it to 30 minutes. I don't think I'm going to write in this one. I've got a few admin things, so I'm going to be still on my computer probably, but like getting some emailing done and stuff like that. So are you going to try and finish the Forbidden Game then, Sharon? And
I think so. I'm going to carry on.
Excellent. So let's pop on the 30-minute timer and we will see you on the other side. So that's it for the sprints. I got some admin stuff done, which is what I needed to do, and booked some tickets to the local wildlife park for Monday, so we're going with
Oh, lovely.
So that'll be nice. I quite like doing that stuff because things like that, I don't know about you, but they kind of hang over me when like it's like, oh, I've not booked that and I've not done that. Like, so I just got a few of that kind of things done. So yeah, it was quite good. Boring, but feel like I've actually done something. So
Does Nathan start preschool in September?
yeah, school nursery, half a day per day. So like 2.5 days a week spread out over 5 days. So yes, he's
that's just going to be so difficult for you, darling, but so good for him. So
yeah, I think, and good for me as well to have a bit of like time for myself, I think, as well, because in terms of work and stuff, it's really hard to write every night. So to
yes.
know that he's there and he's, he's developing himself and I'm developing myself, I think that's probably going to be good for both of us. But yeah, hard.
Well, I think for a couple of weeks you should just treat yourself. As you've got mornings off, or afternoons, is it, or mornings?
Morning.
You should treat yourself for a couple of weeks because you probably haven't had a morning off for a very long time.
Oh, I haven't. I can't remember. Same as like nights off. I think I only do that when I'm ill, and then you can't exactly enjoy it, can you?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. I'm going to try. But how about you? Did you have a good sprint? Did you finish the book?
Yeah, I finished that. Yeah. So I'm just trying not to go into the next book, but then I'm not sure how when Shelley's going to do the next one. If it's another year, I'm not sure I can wait that long.
Yeah, I know. Now I've got into it, it does feel like it was almost half a book, doesn't it? Like you need to read the next one. Well, I did that last year. When I'd done that book club, I started reading the next one, and then Shelley said, "Can we do the second book as another book club?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll wait then." So I'll see what she says. She might want. I'd quite like to do the third one with her, but maybe see if we can not wait a year. I know she books things a few months in advance, so I'll see if I can get in before.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't done the next lot of books yet, has she?
I don't think so.
I think we only got to September, I think, or September maybe. So yeah, so maybe in the next lot.
Yeah, I'll try and get in there. I always end up messaging Shelley, what are we reading? Because I'm just like, I'm always all over the place with my reading.
Well, I need to buy them as well because I'm buying them as they come up.
Yeah.
So I bought some of the ones that you read last year.
Yeah.
But I'm only buying them as they come up, really.
I think that's a good way to build your collection, actually. That's how I started doing it, and then I got a bit addicted and I bought the whole lot of the UK ones anyway. I've got the 90s UK ones.
These are all the old ones, I mean, they're all the original ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I got my Nancy Drew obsession now because I bought 6 of the old Nancy Drew.
My friend sent me some. I've got some random old ones. I had so many of them, and I just think over the years they're in my mum and dad's loft, and I don't think they survived. I think they got slung. So
they're in such good condition. I mean, these are from like the 70s.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, it's just I bought 6 because they were £2 each, and I just love the covers. So many covers were like that in the 70s. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's great fun.
They've got a really distinct look, haven't they? Like the Hardy Boys and the Nancy Drew ones and stuff from that time. I got a real mixture because my grandma used to buy me them. And like I would buy the more modern ones. She would tend to buy me like the old ones that she'd find at car boots. So I had like a mixture of the modern rebranding and the kind of original 70s because I was reading probably the 80s ones, I think, because I was reading them like late 80s, maybe early 90s even. I was probably reading them.
Yeah, mine is. I remember the 70s ones. 70s, yeah. I was like a teenager in the early 80s. So I remember the 70s ones. But yeah, I loved them. Yeah, I loved the Hardy Boys too.
See, I didn't ever read the Hardy Boys. I don't think I even tried one because I was so obsessed with Nancy Drew. And then Sweet Valley and Babysitter's Club and Point Horror, like I didn't have room for the Hardy Boys. I couldn't cope. Like I read
in the 70s, they released the Hardy Boys first.
Yeah.
So you had the Hardy Boys Adventures first, and then it was the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew's joint adventures.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then there were several joint ones.
Oh, really?
And then I've only ever seen in the 70s, and they've ever released them again. And then you got Nancy Drew on her own.
Oh,
So
see,
I read all of them.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to try and get the joint ones, aren't I? But yeah, I've got a real jumble of them at the minute. At some point, I'll probably buy them, but I haven't got time to read them at the minute. So I'm just thinking I'll not add another collection. I haven't got room in my shelves at the minute for another collection.
And you know what's weird about them is I read them. I've started looking at them, and in my head, when I was little, like in the 70s, I ended like 79. I was 10, right? In my head, Nancy Drew was my age, but she's not. She's older. But in my head, she was my age. It's really weird. When I read them now, I'm like, well, she's like a teenager. She wasn't a teenager. She was my age. But she wasn't, of course.
In my head, she was a glamorous teenager. So maybe I got that. Because I was reading the Sweet Valley High books at a similar time. So I think I kind of was used to being a 10-year-old reading about like 15, 16-year-olds. And they seem so old and glamorous. Like a 15-year-old, you're like, whoa, that's old.
It's weird, isn't it, how you think of things like that? It's like, I like Moonstone and all that kind of stuff when in the 70s. And, some of the TV shows from the 70s, if you watch them now, they're really quite creepy. It's no wonder we turned out the way we did, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was Children of the Corn, that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which was really
I read the short story of that recently for the first time.
There was a series on it that was, I watched it since. Really I've got them all on DVD now, and they're terrifying. And it's like, no, I mean, I watched this when I was like 7 or 8.
Some of those early Stephen King stories, like the short stories, are really messed up. I listened to them recently on audiobook, and I was like, oh gosh, there's one about chattery teeth, and it's like nightmare material, a lot of it, which I quite like.
It's weird, isn't it?
Oh, so we're back on Twilight here.
Oh, that's romantic.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, isn't it, with books, that they can just transport you. If the right book comes to you at the right time, it just feels really special. Oh, I hope that you managed to do some fun reading instead. Hi, people saying hi. Oh, so glad.
Nearly there.
Yeah. And done. Excellent. Okay. Lots of books with trigger warnings. Oh, no, sorry. That happens to me quite a lot when I'm watching other people's sprints. That sounds like a very good plan. Yes, we have. He used to be. There's some steps in there which have got lights on. And when he was tiny, I'd take him to the deep and he'd just enjoy running up and down the steps. And I was like, can we look at some fish? He's like, steps. So yeah, I do need to take him back because he loves penguins. And he did appreciate them last, because you end up with annual passes if you buy one ticket. So we took him back a few times, and the last time he seemed to really get it, but then the annual pass expired, so we need to go again. But yes, thank you for reminding me of that. I do need, and there's a fab Waterstones in Hull as well that are really, really supportive of the Mina books. So I tend to, when we go to the deep, we walk over to the Waterstones and say hello. Yes, thank you. I'll try. It feels weird though, like downtime. Whenever I've got 2 minutes to myself, I sit and I go, what am I meant to be doing? What? And then, it's really weird.
Just get a book, have a nice coffee, sit and relax.
I don't just read though. Like whenever I'm reading, it's because I've got 2 spare minutes. So I don't ever like have an hour to dedicate to reading. Like Nathan's watching.
Well, you will though.
Yes, I know.
You will.
Yeah. Weird thought. I can't get my head around it yet.
Yes.
True fans unite. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Are the new ones rebranding of old ones?
They're the new ones because the ones, because you enabled me, didn't you?
I know.
And so I've finished those ones. The volume 1, files volume 1. Yeah, they are the original ones from the 80s and 90s.
Oh, okay.
When she's 18 with Ned, a boyfriend. So they are from that time. They've just been, the language has been changed slightly because obviously nobody knows what a floppy disk is now. So they've changed that to CD, and they've got DVD instead of video. But the actual story is the same, but some of the terminology has been changed because I think it's Scholastic, isn't it? Pretty sure it's Scholastic. Sure. Or Simon and Schuster, one of them who've just done those books, and they're trying to target YA, younger YA now. So But the stories are the same. The basic story is the same, just some of the language is different.
Oh, it's so weird. When I used to teach ICT lessons, I'd say to the kids, and you're talking 10 years ago, I'd say click on the floppy disk, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, blue rectangle. Can't believe you don't know what floppy disks are. And it's even further removed now. Like Nathan will never have seen one. He's not seen a VHS. We do have a DVD player, but it's not out, so I don't think he's probably even seen a DVD.
We've got a rotary phone. We've got an antique rotary phone that works. And my husband's youngest had no idea how to use it.
They have one at the museum, and he used to be able to play with it, but it's like gone into a shelf now. But yeah, it was funny when he picked it up to role play with it. He held it out in front of him because obviously I do loudspeaker all the time on my phone.
Which one pressed?
I know. Well, I said to him, "You need to put it by your head," and he was like, "But you don't do that with your phone."
Yeah, that's when you know when you're getting old, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me about it. You're several technologies out of date. Nice. And Ollie seems to be racing through the books tonight. Brilliant.
Really?
I love that. We used to pass those around at school. There's one called the White Mercedes that me and my friends used to read bits aloud. My friend had got there's one copy of it between about 5 of us. And we used to just read bits.
I was reading Stephen King and Dean R. Coots and Richard Lehman. Yeah, I don't do romance at all. It just makes me cringe. I can't. Yeah. I'm just like, oh yeah, it gives me the ick.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I tend to need something else as well as romance. I do occasionally read them, but I quite like romance plus murder or something like that. Like
a lot of people, I've got a lot of people online, friends online, who love a really gruesome horror and a really soft, cozy romance. That they alternate between the two.
I do sometimes. I have a craving for a romance, but I tend to just prefer horror and thrillers. Like a romance has to really grab me to be.
I think they do some cute ones at Christmas, don't they?
Yeah,
I know a lot of my friends like them at Christmas.
Yeah, I read a nice one called Merry Christmas to You last Christmas. That was a YA romance, and that was really good. I just really like the author's writing, Jenny Bayless. She's written like a spooky middle grade one as well that's really good. Ooh.
43 pence. 43 pence of 40 pence.
Sweet Valley High. Sorry if I've just enabled you, Paula, as well.
I didn't. Yes, it was Twilight Zone and the Tales Unexpected when I was a kid.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Mina 3 is the ending's proving difficult, but I'm still enjoying myself with it as well.
I'm glad to hear it because it makes me feel less old now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you keep us feeling relevant. That's very helpful. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I used them as a teenager all the time, and yet some people... Oh, no, you've never upset me, don't worry. I tend to be quite sarcastic, so apologies if I've sarcastically pretended to be upset. I'm not easily upset. I used to be a teacher, so... I remember my nephew did once try to toast some bread in our tape player when we were younger as well. Honestly, I didn't know I couldn't tell because he was really, really young. I didn't know if he was just doing that thing of being a child and just shoving things that are the right size into
Cole's oldest boy, oldest stepson, he put a frozen pizza in the CD player. He thought that would work,
You can see it. I sort of get it. Spin it around on a record player to heat it up. Yeah, that's true, actually. I do like washing for that. It feels like you've done a job. Oh, I love Rebecca. That's really cheap.
Oh, so do I love Rebecca.
I've only just read it for the first time. Can you believe? I know I'm going to have to read it again because it's so good.
I do. I've just reread Picture of Dorian Gray, ready for Laura Stevens' new book, special edition. I love that as well. It's one of my favourite books too.
It's really good. I've got it here. I'm about how far through it? I'm about halfway through it.
Yeah, but I also it's a good. But it's the trouble with classics. I love all of it, but it does take a while to get into the language, doesn't it? And I love Gothic horror and Victorian and Edwardian fiction, so I love that kind of language. But it does take a while to get your brain into it.
I find the voice of that book. I started reading it and I found it a little bit grating. Like some of the attitudes to different groups of people are a bit like,
it is of its time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of you know, you have to, you have to, it is of its time, sadly.
I think maybe I need to finish Laura's, because what I did last time, I read The Society for Soulless Girls, and then I read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde immediately after. So I think I maybe will do that. I'll go back to Dorian Gray.
Beautiful edition they're doing, Waterstones, for that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm hoping I've pre-ordered it. I'm really bad at thinking I've done that. Oh, thank you.
I've just pre-ordered Rosie's new one because Waterstones are doing a special edition of that. So I've got it coming from Waterstones and Amazon now.
Oh, have you? I haven't pre-ordered that yet. I tend to get sent Scholastic ones. So I try and well, saying that, I should pre-order friends' books, really, shouldn't I? Last time I pre-ordered the Spreaders one for myself, and I gave away the one that Scholastic sent me. So
yeah, it's got this. They're doing the same sprayed edges to match the other book.
Okay, yeah, I might do that. Yeah, I'm far not sure. Right, I think it's about time for us to call it quits because it's nearly 10:30. Where's the time gone tonight? Well, thank you, Sharon, for coming on. As always, thank you, people in the comments. It's been lovely. I feel like these next few sprints are going to be emotional because I'm going to be finishing writing Mina. I could do with actually a draft being done by next week, so you'll see me frantic by next week's sprints.
You'll do it. You'll do it.
Well, I always have in the past, so it'll all come right, won't it?
It's happy, sad, isn't it? It's happy sadness. It's happy to be finished and sad because it's over. So
yeah,
it'll be fun.
There'll be a lot of feelings. So I'm going to end it there, everybody. Thank you for the sprints, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Night,